Hello everyone, my name is James Rankin and I am here today hopefully to put to bed something about kind of Windows 10. As for a long time, I've been talking about Windows 10 and how roaming profiles are unsuitable for use with Windows 10. Now, I suppose it's kind of better specify that when it comes to profile management, as it were, there's almost kind of two levels really that you use, maybe even three according to some people, but they're generally divided up into basic and advanced. So the ultimate basic management of profiles was something like a roaming user profile. You know that basically just copied your folder in when you logged in and back out to a network location when you logged out. And obviously there's also other technology around that, like Microsoft User Profile Disks, which capture the entire profile as a mounted VHD. FS Logic's profile containers that do the same thing, capture the entire profile as a VHD file mounted across to the network. And those are the kind of basic ones. And after that, you've got the more advanced ones, which kind of come under the mantle of what you might now call unified endpoint management, reses and app sensors and various other players within there. They do a lot more than capture the profile. They let you set policies and run scripts and do all sorts of data management and mobile management and all sorts of other bells and whistles on top. But we're talking just about the basic stuff today. We'll talk about people who've just got basic needs for profile management. Now, the big problem that everybody had with looking at Windows 10 and Server 2016, and it was very much a very in-your-face and an obvious problem that they kind of sort of fell down upon, was that it couldn't capture the start tile settings. Because in a roaming profile, it only captures by default the app data roaming folder. So everyone's like, oh my god, we can't do that. So I myself have gone through various ways of doing this. Obviously you could use something like FS Logics or UP user profile disks. You know, you could copy in various files. We've tried spoofing with XML files and things like that. And also with things like file type associations, we've had to have a bit of hacking around to get around it. But anyway, I got an email today from a guy called Raphael Schultz or Schultz, not sure I'm pronouncing that, who kind of said, "Oh, did you realise you can do this?" And I was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing." Basically, the fact that with a roaming profile, you can only it only captures app data roaming, and you can only exclude directories from it through a GPO. You can't actually tell it to include directories. But that's not the case. There is a little bit of sneaky hacking, wouldn't really call it a hack, more of a bit of a fudge that you can do to make it capture the start tiles database, and off the bat of that, probably anything else that you wanted it to. So anyway, without further ado, I have an environment stood up here. I'm not going to bother doing it through XenApp or Zen Desktop because I can't be bothered to fire up a XenApp server and all the overhead and that. So we have just two base image Windows 10 machines right here. These are freshly built. I've just been restored from a checkpoint. They have been optimized, so I've stripped out a lot of stuff from the image and created a custom default user profile, because I kind of think that is what you should be doing on Windows 10. But what we shall look at here is, if I just first of all, I'll log on to one of these as an administrator, just so I can show you what I'm talking about. Now within the registry, apparently, and this is the bit that does all of the nifty stuff, there is a registry value that tells Windows what it should be excluding from a roaming profile. I thought this was all hard-coded into the roaming profile engine, whatever controls it, but apparently not. So, if I look in HK current user, software, Microsoft, on the top of my head, I think it's Windows NT, current version, WinLogon, this here, exclude profile DIRs. Now that is not the default. Let me just, because I've already changed this one with my secret source. Host machine is a Windows 8 machine under here. but it should have exactly the same settings. So if we look in HK current user, software, I've gone right past it, haven't I? Microsoft, Windows NT, current version, Win logon. Right, this is what you get as a default in that. So it excludes the entire update a local directory, update a local law, recital bin, SkyDrive actually, which is now changed to OneDrive in Windows 10, and work folders. Now it's just a reg set, it's just a standard string, and it's semicolon delimited. Now, what you can do is, if you remove that update a local from there, and then that means it'll capture the entire local update folder, which you don't want it to do. But then for all of the subfolders of update a local, if you then put specific exclusions in there, you should be able to capture into that roaming profile just the single directory, which is the tile data layer directory that you need to capture. So here is what we've already changed it to. You probably can't see it very here. I'll show you the group policy object that I am using to control it. This would be it here. So if you see here, this is the same registry, HK current user, exclude profile data is reg, sz, a string, and then we've removed update a local and we've left the other stuff in up to work folders. Then after that we have update a local connected devices platform, update a local Google, update a local group policy. All the other folders that we commonly find in there we've excluded, so it's only going to capture the one which we want, which is the tile data layer. Now you have to be careful with this, because the more stuff you install onto your base image or put down onto your machine, anything that drops another folder in update a local, unless you want to capture it into your roaming profile folder, you'll have to list it in here as an exclusion. But if you're aware of the the software that's going to be on those machines, the potential out there, you can not only make sure you only capture the things that you want, and avoid things like Google Chrome and maybe Mozilla Firefox that save lots of stuff into there. Don't capture that, but you could also, if you wanted to, if you had very specific stuff that you wanted to capture into there, you could add them in. You can only put directories in here, so files and folders, so anything that writes to update a local's root, unfortunately, is going to get captured in there. But if we show you this in action, it's quite a sort of easy, lightweight sort of way to do this sort of capture. So here on my Windows 10 machine, we've already got that set up with there. We've removed update a local and we've added in all these other bits into there. So I'm just going to show you in action, and the user I'm going to be using, which has a roaming profile setup, is called JRankin3. It already has a profile in there. Do I need to remove that profile so I can show it being created? Let me have a look. Yes, indeed I do. Let me just delete this profile. Okay, that's gone now. So we've deleted the existing profile for that user, and just on this machine that we're about to log on to, I can quickly show you that I'm not doing any smoke and mirrors here. The user doesn't have a profile already on the machine or anything like that, so it is going to generate a roaming user profile for it. So JRankin3 is the user, and if this ever hurries up, we should say that he doesn't have a profile in there. So what it's going to do is, this is his roaming profile folder over here on the network. It will create one in there for him and log him on. So without further ado, now just to give you an idea of kind of timings and whatnot, because timings are very important, obviously we're going to time each of these as the user logs on, just to give you an idea of how long it takes. But obviously the first time we log on, it's got to create his profile from scratch and store it in the network share, so that will take a bit more time than it does once we've done it. So let's just log that user on and start our handy little stopwatch here in the corner. And if we flip back to our domain controller, we should see it's already created his profile folder in there, which is nice. So I will write up an article about this tomorrow to go with the video. Excuse me, to go with the video. Just literally to obviously, if you're trying to set it up yourself, it's a bit more easy to reference an article and hopefully have a little group policy download on there that can show you exactly how I've configured it. So to create a roaming profile, it's normally a bit of a lottery how long it takes to log on for the first time. Wow, that was quicker than I expected. 53 seconds, pretty good for a first log on Windows 10 without too many huge optimizations applied. Right, so what we're going to do is we're now logged on as this user with a roaming profile, as we can see, because there's his roaming profile there. And we're going to do some customizations. So let's start by changing his desktop background and icons. So let's switch the picture to that. Let's go to desktop icons, do what users normally do, and just stick some stuff on the desktop. Okay, so you notice here we've applied a custom first user XML in here, so we'll just change all this around. Maybe the user wants to change the description to my applications, and he wants to remove a few bits, get rid of Cortana, get rid of settings, get rid of control panel. Right, now I've got a file share somewhere where I've set up a couple of handy things we can pin to the start menu, just to give you an idea of the different things we can do. Also might want to change the settings, actually make the taskbar a bit smaller. Let's have a go. Yep, use the small taskbar button, switch that on. Right, so I've got a I can pin that to the start menu. That's a shortcut to Google, and there's an RDP shortcut somewhere I can also pin that to start. Yeah, so all that stuff's on there. It should appear finally. We've got a few apps on here as well. Maybe pin one of them down there. Pin that at the start. We can pin folders as well, can't we? As I remember, let's pin a folder. Let's just pin this 1607 folder here. God knows why we'd want to. Just do that. So yeah, got lots of stuff on there. Okay. Another thing we will do as well is actually change some file type associations, because I did an article recently saying, wow, look how there's an amazing way to do file type associations, and I don't know whether I might be able to do it like this. So let's have a look. Let's just change our PDF over here. Actually, no. Let's first of all do it through default programs, because we're going to change this URL here to open with something different. So let's go to default programs, and Google Chrome is installed on here, isn't it? So let's just choose Google Chrome and choose set as default. So we should say that that should now be the handler for the URL, and it's also nicked the PDF association, but we don't want the PDF association, so let's choose something else. Let's go more apps. I'm sure I've got Smart PDF installed in here somewhere. Yep, let's always use that. So that should change that. So yeah, we've got our Nyan Cat bizarrely wallpaper opening in Paint. Yeah, we'll leave Paint, Smart PDF, and Google for that. And then we've got all this gear pin at the start menu that we've customized. Yeah, so that's a lot of user customization there. So let's sign our user out. So now that tile data layer database folder in that local app data folder should be getting captured into our roaming profile. So once we've signed out, we can jump across and have a look. But of course, roaming profiles don't let us have access to it. They give exclusive access. I think I need to turn on a GPO. So first, we'll just quickly blag some permissions on here so we can just say what's in it. We shall put the user back on, of course. So let's change the owner on there. Get rid of all that stuff. Okay. Come on, hurry up. Right, and then reopen that. So now we should be able to edit this and add the user back in, who is JRankin3. Give him full control, and then because I am probably doing something completely unnecessary, I shall add the system account on as well, just out of complete not habit. Let's make sure we cascade that down there. So now, right, so if we look in this roaming profile, now traditionally roaming profile could never capture anything apart from app data roaming. You should say now we have got a local folder, and we've got the tile data layer and the database with the stuff in for the start menu. Isn't that uber duper? I love a bit of that. That's absolutely great. The only drawback is because we only specify folders, it's captured this single file that sits in the root of the app data local folder. Not really anything we can do about that, because we can only exclude folders, not particular files. It's quite big-ish as well. But if we just have a look at the size of the profile directory, It's 17 meg, which, you know, roaming profile wise, it's not horrendous really. Obviously we'll get bigger, but we're not looking at a super streamlined solution here. So let's just, it was this machine that we logged onto before, 204, so this one 201 we shall now switch across to. Just to show you, I am not doing any smoke and mirrors, and just in case I've left a copy of the user's profile behind, I'll log on as an admin and just show you there are no copies of profiles on there for this particular user. And it's usually the last thing I did, but it's not this time. Okay, let's just check the user profiles in there. Just check we haven't got one for JRank and 3. Yep, not there, so that's all good. So now let's sign the admin out. Right, it'll be interesting to see this time if it takes about 53 seconds, the first log on before, which I commented was surprisingly good. Possibly because the kids have gone to bed and they're not bombing my network with traffic from whatever game it is they're playing those days. So let's just try this one again. So we're logging on now using that roaming profile that we've created and captured those start menu settings into. As a rule of thumb, I generally say anything 30 seconds-ish is pretty much passable for a log on time. Depending, of course, how many applications you've got, security softwares and things like that. But let's just see how long it takes. It should hopefully be better than the initial log on of 53 seconds. And this is where, of course, nothing will make sense, and it will be longer on the second log on. No, it's not. What have we got there? 36 seconds. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. But straight away, you can see that we've got our background, of course, and all of the icons on the start menu, which you kind of expected, because it's just a roaming profile. But let's have a look and see what we've got on here. That's just made me look... No, it hasn't. I thought it had given me the default there. I nearly had one of those moments where I kind of, just before I stick the stop button on my video recording and go, damn it, I thought it was another one of those. It wasn't. It's worked. It's worked super duper. We've got our folder there. We've got our internet shortcut, our RDP shortcut, our Visio down there. It is all there. That's excellent. So, and if we go in here as well, have we got our file type associations? Yes, we have. All that work I did a few weeks ago using DISM commands and AppSense Application Manager to roam file type associations. You can just do it with a roaming profile. This is quite odd though, because you couldn't before, and I'm not going in saying you couldn't roam them before. Microsoft have backtracked somewhere for a roaming profile. They did the same thing with Internet Explorer cookies when they moved them to that webcache vo1.dat file. For a roaming profile, they rolled that back. They realised people were having real problems. They didn't tell anyone about it. They just did it. They've done the same here. That hash value that is used for calculating, you know, whether your file type association should be applied, clearly just doesn't apply anymore with the roaming profile. So that's a bit sneaky, but yes, roaming profiles do now work for that. So just to show that, as I say, it's not completely... So what we'll do is we'll just, I don't know, what should we do? Should change? We just pin something random to the taskbar just to show that the taskbar pinning works as well. Let's pin some weird and wonderful stuff from the admin tools down there at the taskbar, as you can see. Let's just change the background again, just for giggles. There's not very exciting pictures in Windows 10, are they? They're pretty crap. Let's change it to that one. So let's just sign out again. Now, on these machines, we do have the delete cached copies of roaming profiles configured, just to prove that that is indeed the case. I shall log back onto this second machine as an administrator and show that. But if we look in our group policy management, that's actually set up servers we're looking at. Looking at workstations, we do have a profile handling there, and click on show on there. Delete cache copies of roaming profiles is done. So, oop, somebody's sending me an email. You should always turn that off really when you're recording a video, especially with friends like I have. Who knows what they might pop up and say in your email. Okay, you can see that cache copy of that JRank 3 profile has gone. So let's just log out. Let's reset our stopwatch just to give us another KPI of what our login time's like, and let's give this a blast. So I think about 30 seconds again. Hopefully 30 to 40 seconds would be good. But really just interested in whether it's held those other couple of changes I made, changing the desktop and changing the taskbar icons. That was even faster. Whoopie-doop. 25 seconds, and as you can see, it's got a new background, it's got our taskbar icons, we should have everything still on the start menu where we left it, and as I say, we should have our custom file type associations for Smarter PDF and Google Chrome. That is full on Windows 10 roaming with a standard Windows roaming profile with a tiny little tweak via group policy. And just to show you again, all that I am doing to enable this is literally that. That is it. That is one registry key being set for every user that says if you're a roaming profile, then exclude these folders, removing app data /local and adding all of the subfolders from underneath that you don't want. Bit hard to get your head round if I just say it off the top of my head, but I shall be writing an article on that. So that's brilliant. You know, we've just seen how we can do that with a standard Microsoft roaming profile. But just as a bonus item, and this is completely off the cuff, so this may not work at all. This is a Windows 2016 RDS server. It's actually a XenApp server, but we're not logging on through XenApp because I'm using SQL Express, and SQL Express just has a habit of just not starting every time I boot the machine up. So it'll probably mention some Citrix stuff, but we're not actually logging on through Citrix. So let's just, for a laugh, what would happen if we logged on to a Windows? So imagine your user isn't just using a Windows 10 Fat Client or a Windows 10 VDI, they're also logging on to a XenApp published desktop as well. What would happen if we had this roaming profile configured? Obviously that same policy is applied to this machine as well. So let's just try that. Now 2016 is a bit different under the hood from Windows 10. It's kind of LTSB-ish, so I'm expecting it might take a bit longer to log on because it's probably getting very confused by the fact I've got a Windows 10 roaming profile here. But I'm just wondering what would actually happen if we... Hey up. That was quite quick. Look at that. Look at that. There you go. We now have smooth roaming from between 2016 and Windows 10 clients. That's assuming it works, he says before he clicks on stuff. That is excellent. Look at that. So user would not know the difference that is a Server 2016 instance. The only way to tell is down here in the bottom corner. We can see it says Server 2016 instead of Windows 10. It looks exactly the same. Obviously we have the same stuff installed on it, but you can see the little difference is it has Server Manager and stuff in there. So there you go. That is just super duper smooth roaming, courtesy of a standard Microsoft roaming profile with one single registry hack. I am quite frankly amazed that it's that easy, and I've written about 5 or 6 articles now which are kind of completely redundant. What are the main benefits of this? It's dead easy to set up. You know, you do need to keep on top of it a bit with regards to making sure you've got all of the folders named in that registry key, but once you've got them in there and once you stay on top of it, there's no reason why you couldn't customize this. Remember, how are things like UPD and FSLogic's profile containers better? They're a lot more efficient when it comes down to things like the file copies. If you've got a very big profile, which potentially you could get depending on what you're capturing, then you get lots of reads and writes across the network at log on and log off. Folder redirection of various sorts may mitigate against that. So FSLogics and UPD, obviously just writing to a single file because it's a mounted VHD, so very much more efficient. The likes of AppSense, Res, Sense, Profile Unity, things like that, they really aren't comparing. This is a roaming profile solution. It's basic. You will probably get the old, you know, profile corrupted sorts of things. You know, you can't roam between different versions of the Windows profile and things like that. But, you know, you'll also get all the problems like last writer wins and stuff like that from roaming profiles. But, I mean, for a basic roaming environment, I mean, technically you could log in on multiple machines and you may get that last writer wins, but that only generally applies to registry stuff. So, roaming profiles are quite clever at that. So, very impressed. compared to what roaming profiles were at Windows 10's release. This is a massive improvement with that little hack in place. As I said, we now have absolutely smooth roaming between not just Windows 10 fat clients or VDI sessions with all of your start menu settings as well. We can also, as you saw there, drop that onto a Windows Server 2016 XenApp or RDSH instance as well with a published desktop, and it looks exactly the same. That is an awesome thing. Big up to Raphael Schultz for sending me that email. He deserves massive credit for pointing that out, and I think that is a lovely, lightweight, easy to use, easy to configure solution. Hopefully follow-up article about that should be released tomorrow. Okay guys, thank you very much.